Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers, including Peter Berryman, John Robertson, Brandon Trano, and IndyCar World Champion Alex Palou. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to a brand new season, Season 5 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge, presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics right here on Apex Racing TV. Embarking on a 7-round sojourn around some of North America's, Europe's, and Asia's most storied circuits will once again shine those big Klieg lights on some of the best GT3 drivers from around the world. And new this season, we want to welcome the TCR class to the World Challenge. I'm Greg Ginsburg, and joining me in the announce booth, as always, is Larry Lefty McLeod, and we've got Jonathan Grabowski tonight in the virtual production trailer, bringing you all the best views of tonight's action. And so tonight we kick off Season 5 at the home of kudzu and red clay at a track that, although it only took 6 months to excavate, grade, and pave back in 1970, it's been scaring the bejesus out of drivers for each of the 50-plus years since. And from its decreasing radius downhill S's to the long, draftable back straight and onto the towering final corner that's the first thing you see taunting you as you enter the front gates, let's see how our racers are going to fare tonight over 75 minutes here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. And so welcome, Larry, to Season 5. And, you know, while we've got a whole new season with us, inevitably that brings change. It brings new blood. And this season, as I mentioned, we've got some big changes here in the World Challenge.
Definitely going to have some changes. Hey, Greg, how are you doing tonight?
Very well, my friend. Very well.
Yeah, we're definitely going to see some changes here. As you've kind of mentioned, we're welcoming a whole new class. Gone are the LMP2s doing laps around here. Tonight, we bring in the TCRs racing alongside our always the favorites, GT3s. So I think it's going to be a really good time tonight. And as you mentioned, there are a couple of new names, a couple of old names kind of mixed in here. And I think we've got a pretty good field already. It looks like about 26 drivers or so signed up. It's going to be a pretty big field ripping around here just inside the red clay. And I think it'll be a good time.
Yeah, without a doubt. And, you know, I think, Larry, that most of our viewers probably know, even if they've never driven Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, you know, some of the best racing, both in the real world, whether it be Petit Le Mans or whether it be any one of the many other pro series that race there, or the club series that race there as well. You know, or of course here in the virtual racing world, Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta is known really for some of that best racing. Let's do this. Rather than talk it up all that much, why don't we turn things over a little early tonight to Kevin Ford. He's going to give us tonight's track guide for Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta.
Welcome, everyone, to the incredible Road Atlanta located here in Braselton, Georgia. Great to have you with us as we provide you your track guide today around this 2.54-mile, 12-turn road course. Well, let's get started to head up around this final corner here. We'll come out onto the front straightaway, one of the shorter straightaways here at Road Atlanta, surprisingly. Heading down into turn 1, this is a very fast sweeping right-hander, an uphill exit out of Apex. And this will bring us into the blind entry of turn 2, and then heavy on the brakes right back to the right for the entry of turn 3. And then we'll come into the apex of turn 4, back to the left. This will set us up for the downhill S's. Very fast section here, very tricky. Heavy on the brakes, now out of 5, and up the hill as we come over the crest and head towards the double right-handers of turn 6 and 7. Heavy on the brakes here. We'll come down through 6. This will bring us uphill into a blind entry, searching for that apex there of 7, then out onto the backstretch. This is where all the overtaking is really primary here at Road Atlanta. Very long straightaway, around turn 8 there as we exit. This will bring us up to the very slight right-hander of turn 9. But again, you can see all the space here for drivers to use that slipstream and then get a move coming down into turns 10A and B here. Back to the left, take a lot of curb there, right back to the right to set up that exit up over the hill and under the walkway bridge. Here we go, down the hill, out of 11 and into that final corner of 10-12 at speed, across the stripe. There it is. There's your track guide for the incredible Road Atlanta. Thank you for being with us.
And thank you so much to Kevin Ford for tonight's track guide of Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. And, you know, Larry, in watching Kevin make his way around in that GT3 car, it really stands out how this track has some great flow, but there just is never a lot of room for error here. There are walls seemingly inches off your quarter panel everywhere you go, and if you're in an area where there aren't walls there, the track just it, whether it be decreasing radius corners or whether it be having to slow that car down from 150 miles an hour along that long back straight to that 90-degree entrance into turn 10A. I mean, there's so many opportunities for you to just get the little things wrong and open up the window for your competitor to make the pass.
Yeah, to steal a word you used on the intro there, the bejesus is scared fully out of me at turn 3 is the one spot, because
Yes.
you just don't see it. You're at the crest of the hill. There's curbs in your way, and it's just become one of those throw it in, start on the left, and be ready to throw it in the right before you ever even see it. Had I driven this in real life, I suspect turn 5 might be the other one that just scares
Always.
the bejesus out of me.
Yes.
Just considering the amount of various surfaces you have to use in order to be fast, and then there's the ever-present wall just off driver's right when you come out of it. If you do it right, do it wrong, that wall gets a little closer, a little faster.
Yeah, but Larry, we know you never hit the wall drivers right. It's always when you hook the thing and hit the wall drivers, and you shoot across the track and hit the wall drivers left.
Now I'm going to be scared of that one too. Thanks, Greg.
Yeah, my pleasure, Larry. So, as we mentioned, we do have a number of new drivers, and they're going to be heading out for qualifying here in just a moment. As a matter of fact, it looks as though we may have some of our racers already out on track, and we're watching right now Brandon Whitworth from D2D eRacing heading out on track. And Larry, although Brandon Whitworth a stalwart in the Ricmotech sports car series in TCR, a big change here, maybe not a change since it's week 1, is that, and I'm a bit surprised that even though we have, I believe, 4 different platforms on the iRacing platform in TCR. We've got the Honda Civic Type R, we've got the Hyundai Velociter, we've got the Hyundai Elantra, and we also have the Audi RS3 LMS. All of our drivers are racing the Hyundais this week, and I assume for the rest of the season. And in the case of Brandon Whitworth and also his D2D eRacing teammate Eric Violet, they have, over the course of this past season in the sports car series, been running the Honda Civic Type R. So a big change for them.
Very interesting there, because we had talked to Eric a couple of times, pre-race interviews, post-race a couple of times, and he talked about the differences between these cars from his point of view. He mentioned things like tire wear in the Hondas better than the Hyundais, straight line speed better in the Hyundais, and what you'd seen recently in the last couple of rounds of our sports car series was perhaps maybe an advantage to the Hyundais. So I guess maybe the D2D racing boys are thinking, can't beat them, join them, and decided to jump over to the Hyundai. So a whole fleet of Hyundai sedans out here tonight. But they're not the only cars in the field, as you can see. No. There is John Casey in his GT3 Ferrari doing his roundabout turn 7 onto that back straight. And we are going to see plenty of GT3s out here tonight, somewhere odds around 18 of them or something like that, including things like the Merc, the new improved Merc. Yep, the new and improved Ferrari. Yep, so we've got a whole slew of fun cars in GT3. The GT3 field just seems to be one of those cars on the platform. They just keep adding fun things to it. And of course, you can't have a GT class without a Porsche. And there you go. Of course, we'll have our GT3 Porsche out here tonight. So I think this will be a great mix of cars in the GT3 ranks, and pretty much a one make as it's turning out in the TCRs. But intermixing of classes will definitely be fun here tonight between GT3s now being on the aggressors, making their laps around and trying to find their way through traffic with those TCRs now.
That is exactly right, Larry. So in years past, of course, the GT3 drivers always had to be watching the rear mirrors watching the mirrors for that LMP2 traffic coming up on them. And truth be told, we had our share of incidents, interclass incidents here. It's going to be very different. The GT3 drivers with quite a bit more straight line handling, obviously, than the TCR cars. The TCR cars, for the most part, also race in packs. And handling characteristics are a little bit different for those cars as well.
Well, yeah, and I think like we had seen before, between the speed delta of an LMP2 to the GT3, a pretty large range of speed between them. I'd say we may be seeing some of that here. As you can see, the lap time's already 12 seconds between Mike Dan's provisional time to Whitworth's provisional time. And the issue that you're going to run here, especially at a track like Michelin Redway Atlanta here, is turns 3, 4, and 5. That whole S's section is really one line. If you're in a GT3 and you find yourself on the tail of a TCR through there, you're pretty much stuck until you clear turn 5. Or we get to see some really fun interclass mixing going down the S's.
Yeah, exactly. It has the opportunity to really compress a field, if depending on the order going down through there. It also has the opportunity to create some spectacular, I don't know, carnage, for lack of a better word, rolling down the hill. All right, so our drivers, they are out for their qualifying sessions right now. And what we do is we give them 15 minutes to set a flying lap, their fastest flying lap. We allow them to make 4 flying laps to set that grid for tonight's race. And the drivers are doing what's called lone qualifying. Basically, for all they know, they are the only car on track. There's no opportunity to use the draft from other cars. And again, 4 flying laps. And the fastest flying laps in each one of our classes will help set the grid. We will have a split between our GT3 drivers and GT3 cars, and then the TCR cars will all start together towards the rear of the field. And so as you see time starting to come in, and you can see this over on the left-hand side of your screen on the timing pylon, we do have our 2 different classes in GT3. We've got our GT3 Pros and we've got the GT3 AMs. The Pro drivers, much like our provisional pole sitter right now, William Laster, in the number 31 Merc, they have red number boards, red mirrors, red windshield banners, and also the end plates on their rear wings are red as well. Whereas the AM category drivers, they will have, much like Jake Gordson, right here, also in a Merc, who is currently your provisional pole sitter in the AM category. Green number boards, green mirrors, green windshield banners, and green end plates on the wings. And to throw things off considerably, Larry, and I think most folks can pretty much pick out the difference between a Hyundai Elantra and a Ferrari or a Mercedes AMG GT3, or perhaps the BMW Beaver car, the M4, but the TCR cars, blue number boards, blue mirrors, blue windshield banners, blue end plates. But if you look at that timing pylon on the side of the screen, they'll show off in gray. Somebody's colorblind back at the central office. That's all I can say. And Larry, I guess as we're looking at these drivers currently on track, and again, William Laster, currently your provisional pole sitter with now 2 laps in the books. He's working on his 3rd currently with a fast time of a 1:17.23. In the AM category, Jake Gertzen. And there you come into a complete stop as William Laster. Jake Gordson, currently your fastest AM category driver. He has just completed his 4th and final flying lap with a 1:18.17 in the books. And you can see that they're up over Bobby Childs by about 0.6 of a second, a little bit less than 0.6 of a second. And in TCR, currently newcomer to the different Ricmotech series, was not running with us in the sports car series. Shane Jordan, driver of the number 86 machine, and Shane's representing SBR Racing. He is your provisional pole sitter currently. With Austin Knight from Lead Paw Racing, the number 21 machine, your 2nd fastest driver in TCR currently. And Larry, I think there was a question for both of us coming in, because in the sports car series, the 2 Lead Paw Racing drivers had been running the Hyundai Velociter, and it looks as though they have now made the move over to the longer wheelbase Hyundai Elantra.
Seems to be the favorite, and at this point, we're back to where we were about a year and a half ago when the only make in the TCRs was the Audi RS3. Now we're virtually there with everybody running the same car. Just a a different version. Now we've got the Korean version, I guess.
The
German
Korean
version.
Audi, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, so at this point, it's going to come down to driver and setup. And so seeing these teams out there like the Lead Paw Racing, T2D Racing, and such, they get to share setups and really work on it together. So that may be maybe a bit of an advantage for those who are part of some of those teams as opposed to maybe the one-off drivers. But great to see some new blood coming in. Good sized field tonight. Shane Jordan, early leader on the qualifying board, but we're still waiting, I think, to see Eric Violet show his true form, as he's got a time in the books, but not yet cracking into the top 3 there. So we'll see what he does now. I think only on his second lap, one of the late qualifiers here in the field. There he is, at number 89.
Yeah, and I think, and we'll have to take a look at this later. I think he's showing up on our time and scoring as being a GT3 Pro car. So Larry, let's do this. I've got sitting in our green room Jeff Jacobs, driver of the number 38 StreetSurvival.org Mercedes AMG GT3 Evo. He was our AM category champion last year, or pardon me, last season. He's now making the jump over to the pros. Let's bring him on board.
All right, Jeff Jacobs has joined us tonight. And Jeff, wow, we've got changes here in the World Challenge opening round here tonight. We know you're in a different car from what you've driven in the past. Tell me a little bit about what's going on here in the World of World Challenge.
Oh, yeah, we're really excited about this new season. And really, I think it's going to be cool. We brought in the TCR cars this season. Just didn't have enough interest in those LMP2 cars. And that doesn't mean that we won't bring them back in a future season. But for this season, we really had a lot of requests from the TCR drivers saying, hey, we had so much fun in the sports car series that just finished. Could we run with the GT3 car? So we put them in, got a nice field, and we expect to see a few more drivers coming in. And then, yeah, it's so much fun being back in these GT3 cars, and 26 drivers entered, spread pretty evenly between our Pro and our AM divisions. I think it's going to be some great racing all through the field. Yeah,
we brought a couple of new names in here. I'm already seeing some new names here at the top of the leaderboards. That's always good to see. But you yourself, you've changed cars. You had been running, I believe, a Lamborghini the last couple seasons. Before that, you were in the old version of the Merc. Looks like you've gone back to the new Merc.
Yeah, if for no other reason, you got to enjoy the sound of that Merc out there on the course. Yes. It's just glorious. And but hey, I had a great time in the Lambo too, and especially when we were running our Lambo Trophy Series. That was a lot of fun. It just made it a little bit easier to stick with the same car. But I'm really enjoying the new Mercedes.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to pick that up yet, but yes, I do agree. It is the greatest sound on the entire platform. I know some folks like the more high-revving Porsche, but I love the grunt of that Merc. So you're going to get to enjoy an hour and 15 minutes of that tonight. So with these changes now, with the GT3s now the faster of the field, instead of having a couple of LMP2s kind of doing circles around them, now you've got these 18 or so drivers having to find a way through TCR traffic. What's the expectation here tonight in terms of how much traffic that we should be looking at, and how much interesting interaction do we think we'll see?
Yeah, I think this is a combination that works well. These cars have just enough of a speed difference that I think it allows for nice and clean passes, but it is going to require some patience, particularly in the S's. If the GT3 drivers, when they get into those lap traffic situations, can't clear those TCR cars down the front straight or up the hill into turn 1, boy, they lose about a second and a half trailing a TCR car through those S's. And so I think you're going to see some pressure on a front GT3 driver to try to clear those TCRs just before the S's and strand their competitors behind them. And we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to that. I think this is going to be a lot of fun to watch this mixing, a little bit of a new feel to the old theme here. And at some point down the road, you guys can bring the LMP2s back. I wouldn't be too disappointed there either. But we've got some great cars tonight, some new blood out here. I think it'll be pretty exciting. And Jeff, good luck to you. And I'm really hoping to see you back maybe at the front of the field and maybe get a chance to talk to you in about an hour and 20 minutes.
Hey, sounds good. Thanks a lot. Talk to you guys later.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right, there you go. Jeff Jacobs from StreetSurvival.org driving the Mercedes AMG GT3 Evo tonight in the Ricmotech World Challenge. And Larry, I was just looking at the chat on YouTube, and Arthur Chan has joined us, and Arthur was, I believe, was champion one year in the LMP2s, and so glad to have him here. But he's mentioned something that rings true. And he basically says that all is not right in the world if Mike Nam is not driving a Porsche 911 GT3, and indeed, Mike Dam from Orion Racing driving the Mercedes this evening.
That's very, very strange. He's absolutely right. In this series, Mike has been a staple in the Porsche for so long, but maybe running the BMW and the GT4s has got him a taste for the German side of things, and just different just flavor of Germany. And figured he'd try them all out now and try the Merc, since he's had the Porsche and he's had the the other ones. Time to try the Merc out, but we'll see where he lands tonight.
All right, well, let's do this, Larry. We've got the starting grid with qualifying now complete. Why don't we run down the starting order? Why don't you take the GT3 cars,
sure.
and I'll get the TCRs at the tail end.
All right. On the pole tonight, one of the newer additions to the Orion Racing team. I think he did that somewhere during the last season, but here he is showing his form. On the pole tonight, William Laster. On his outside, we were just talking about him, the Canadian from Orion Racing, Mike Dam. On the second row, meaning it's a first three lockout for Orion Racing, Travis Schwenke on the inside of row 2, lined up alongside the Alpine Stars, Geodesic Racing's Evan Peichel. On row 3 on the inside, another Orion driver, Rob Hartley, will be lined up alongside one of our new drivers to the field from HPDS Racing Academy, Nick Riciputo. On row 4 on the inside, BTL Motorsports, she's back in true form, Jennifer McDonald. On the outside, from the D2D E-Racing team, David Payton. On row 5 on the inside, another one of our D2D drivers, Chris Thorman. Alongside Chris will be on the outside there, Jack's Pink Pig, Jack Harrison. On row 6, I think we've got a row 6, Kevin Ford listed. On the inside, Brad Husty on the outside. But that might not be correct. So let's go on to the rest of the GT3 AM category. On the top position in the AM category is Jake Gordon from Reverse Grid Racing alongside Bobby Childs from D2D. On row 2, Nathan Thomas from Driftline Racing alongside Primetime Motorsports' Ed Morris. On row 3, we just talked to him, StreetSurvival.org's Jeff Jacobs, alongside another Primetime driver, Alex Brown. On row 4 in the AM category, the inside, Steve Daniel, SKKJ Racing, alongside from Team Collusion, John Sterling. On row 5 on the inside, he's back this time in a GT car, Dean Dibdahl, ZP Motorsports. And alongside Dean on the outside from Flying Tortoise Motorsports, Russ Ruddick.
All right, so let's take a look now at
the last one.
Oh, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah, we still
one
got 2
more
more.
row.
Sorry.
John Casey, 046 Racing. Almost stole my thunder there. And on the outside, Nick Parsono making up the last of the GT3 AM field.
I just get so anxious sometimes, Larry. Oh my gosh. It's the first week. How can it be anything but anxious for the start here? All right, so let's take a look at our starting grid for TCR, where Shane Jordan from SBR Racing, first time out with the Ricmotech World Challenge, driving the number 86 car. He's your pole sitter. Starting next to him from D2D E-Racing is Eric Violet. Austin Knight from Lead Paul Racing, driving number 21 machine. He'll be starting on the inside of row number 2 in TCR with Brandon Whitworth, also from D2D E-Racing, starting on the outside of row number 2. So we've got the 2 D2D E-Racing drivers at the front end of that left lane. Tom Jenkins from TGT Racing, say that 6 times real fast, driving the number 68 machine. He's going to start 5th this evening. And then Pan Hydraday from Lead Paw Racing, driving number 25 machine. He will start in 6th.
I think Brad Husty's also a little bit listed in the GT3 ranks, actually here in the TCR
exactly
field, which is why he was shown as 12 seconds back. He's not 12 seconds back. He's right there in the field in the TCRs, I think on row 4.
Yeah, that would put him on row 4. So hopefully
it does
John,
look like I don't
him.
see Pan Hyraday taking the field though. It looks like he's still in the pits unless there's a timing glitch. Maybe just a little glitch. We'll get
and I'm also showing Nick Parsono not in the session as well in his Lamborghini. All right, so we've got the field now, as you can see, making their way down the back straight with the 2 Orion Racing teammates there on the front row. And of course, remember, if you like what you're seeing here tonight, please go ahead and give us a thumbs up on YouTube and subscribe to Apex Racing TV and click on that notification bell. You'll be glad you did.
Arthur Chan already has.
Yeah, I'm sure Arthur Chan has. And my gosh, if Stubby hasn't already, I don't know what I'm going to do. All right. And so the drivers now are coming underneath the Fox Factory Bridge, and we are going to have a real live starter calling the start for this race. Pace cars on the pit lane, and we have a green flag in GT3 as this race now, season number 5, race number 1, is underway in the Ricmotech World Challenge, heading down into turn 1. William Laster cuts across Mike Stam's nose, and it is left to the 2 other Orion Racing teammates, Schwenke and Dam, with Robert Hartley right behind to figure out where they're going to end up. And it is now 4 cars in a row, all from Orion at the front of the field, as our TCR cars now get the green flag. Shane Jordan jumping to an early start with Eric Violet right behind, as Violet takes a look to the inside, and you can see there side by side Austin Knight and Brandon Whitworth, and we have a driver off in the grass, and that is Dean Dibdahl from ZP Motorsports. And I think, Bobby Childs in the Ferrari off as well. And you can see there, wearing a lot of damage to the front end of that Porsche. Let's take a look at the. Let's take a look and see exactly what happened here. As they're heading down the S's, a little bit of contact.
Bobby backs out. Looks like behind him looks like an aggressive Dean, but it looks like he was fine. It's Bobby though that loses it at the tail end of the S's.
And we'll have to see what happened to Dean. Because it didn't look like there was any contact there, but Bobby had just gotten very, very loose. We'll try and pull that up here. Let's take a look as we now have, let's see exactly what happened to Dean Dibdahl there in the number 19 machine.
Oh, catches a little bit of the grass there coming down the S's.
Yeah, and just trying to catch it and right into the wall. So unforced error for Dean Dibdahl.
Tough, cold tires on these first laps. It's very difficult in these high horsepower cars. And unfortunately for both Bobby and for Dean, that's going to cause them a little bit of time in the pits. It looks like both of them have headed that way. But back out in front, William Laster off to a fantastic start. Already 2 seconds or so ahead of the field. And that's a big, big start there over his teammates. Dam, Schwenke, and Hartley able to pick up 1 spot, just nipping ahead of Evan Michael there on the opening lap. But now that everybody settles in, maybe we'll get some moving around and see if the Dam, Schwenke, Hartley gang can catch their newest teammate, William Laster.
And you'll see there in that group there, Evan Peichel, as you mentioned, in the Porsche at the tail, not the tail end of that part of the field, but we've also got newcomer Nicholas Resputo sitting right behind him in his Mercedes-AMG GT3 Evo. And then just a little bit further back from there, Jake Gordson, driver of the number 12 machine. You'll notice the 1 car with a green number board and end plates there, trying to keep up with our lead pack. He is your GT3 AM leader, and he's got a good advantage now over Nate Thomas and the rest of the AM category field. He's got David Payton, Jennifer McDonald, and Chris Thorman separating him out from the rest of that AM category.
We always talk about that, how important it is if you're the AM leader, is to try to get a couple of cars, even if it's only a couple seconds, but you'd like to have cars between you and your nearest rival. And right now, Jake's doing a good job of that, trying to hang on to the tail end of this front train that goes all the way up from Laster, Dam, Schwenke, Hartley, Peichel, Nick Risaputo, and then finally Gordson, the AM leader, just at the tail end of that train.
All right, it looks like Dean Dibdahl has rejoined the action after getting some repairs done to his Porsche. Bobby Childs, on the other hand, it does not look like he has left the pits, and from the looks of it, Larry, he may be there for quite some time.
Yeah, that was a pretty heavy impact there on the track left side of the track there at the bottom of the S's. He was a little bit slower. He took some speed off. Still probably needed a little bit of repairs there, but he was good to see him back on the road. Good shot. Jeff Jacobs, pre-race interview there in his shiny gold looking AMG Mercedes, just ahead of his usual rival Steve Daniel there behind him, the 2 of them running 4th and 5th there in the M category.
Well, we'll have to see here, because again, I had gotten word that Jeff was going to be running in the pro category, and everything I have points to that. We may just have him misclassified. Well, take a look. Actually, he's got the green. So all right, well, so now Larry, what we'll say is he's looking to repeat as your AM category champion here in the World Series.
That'll be a first, but the challenge is there in front of him. But I'll tell you what, the way the Gortson's driving right now, going to be, at least as an early start, going to be tough for Jeff to do it. But it's about consistency here in all of these race series. You got to be consistent. You got to get points, good finishes every week if you want to walk away with the championship at the end of it.
All right, so here, if we take a look, this is the front of the field of our TCR field, where we've got Shane Gordon in the black number 86 machine. Just got passed up by Dean Dibdahl. He's got Eric Violet in the number 11 machine, just back from there, running in second. Brandon Whitworth running in third, and Whitworth about 2 seconds back off of his teammate Violet.
So a quick little note from Race Control. Looks like the car number 10, which should be the car of Nate Thomas, one of our newcomers, assessed a penalty. I haven't seen what the penalty will serve, but it's going to be a ruling about the start of the race, and it says start column violation. I suspect that means he left his lane earlier than the start line. You can't, if you're in the left lane, you cannot jump to the right, back and forth. One of those things that pretty much sticklers about here. So we'll see what he's assessed, if it's going to end up being a drive-through penalty or perhaps an end-of-race penalty. We'll see what they decide.
All right, we're on board right now with Jennifer McDonald making the move over to GT3 after having raced in LMP2 the last couple of seasons here in the World Challenge, right behind the number 64 machine of David Payton as they make the run down the hill over towards turn 10A. And again, you know, Larry, if you can get tucked in underneath the car coming out of turn 7, you get a good exit. You are not guaranteed a position, but certainly you should be able to draft up alongside somebody. It's a pretty wide area of track there going into 10A, and Jennifer McDonald does just that, takes over the position. She's now running 7th in GT3 Pro.
Paint scheme manages to de-emphasize the front end of that BMW. Actually looks quite good, if you ask me. But she's driving very well there, getting around Peyton, and now leading this short train of the two DTV drivers behind her down through the S's. So off to a pretty good start for her back in this series after taking the last season of the other leagues off, and now she's come back and ready to move up this field. Currently in 7th.
Yeah, you saw how loose that car got going through turn 5, Larry. Still a bit of a challenge as we have 2 cars coming out of turn 7 side by side, and that was I believe Evan Peichel, and right beside Peichel was Robert Hartley, and they are now door to door as they come down the back straight, and Hartley has position, has the inside line going into turn 10A, but a little bit earlier on the brakes than the Porsche, and the Porsche driven by Evan Peichel holds on now to 4th position as they roll down the hill and complete lap number 7.
Yeah, so within 7 laps, the front of the GT3 field has already caught pretty much the entire, by the end of this lap, I suspect they'll pass the entire field of TCRs. So that'll be about every 8 minutes. We're going to see the leaders passing leaders. Do that over 75 minutes. We're going to have about 8 or 9 of these passing opportunities of the packs. Boy, it's going to be an interesting night tonight, managing traffic and minimizing the time you spend behind it. There's one of those GT3s on TCR passes in the S's happening right there at the back of the shot. It's going to be very interesting tonight to see how well these kids play together.
And so what you're saying, Larry, is if they lap them every 8 minutes, so essentially they'll run about over 75 minutes, about 8 additional laps with the TCR cars, give or take, with my horrible math.
That's good math.
Thank you. I did that all within the last 48 hours.
Thoroughly impressed.
Thank you.
There will be a quiz.
All right, and you can see there we're talking about what the TCR cars are going to do when they are in traffic, and we're just watching. I believe that was Jenkins in the 68 machine had three of the GT3 cars coming up on him going into turn number 7, as he just hung the car out there as far as he could without getting stuck in the Georgia clay there. And just
and frankly, if you're the TCR car, you're obliged to just not make it difficult to let the GT3s by. The best is to hold your line, do your thing, make them work to get around you. Obviously, you move over out of the way if you're down the straightaway, but you don't want to find yourself into the grass because you were letting a couple GT3s go by. That doesn't help your night. It really doesn't help theirs either. So there you see an opportunity there for the 25. That is Panera moving out of the way of these field. That's a very overly gracious move to let them go up the inside of one, but very great to see. Just probably unnecessarily much, but I guess better than getting pushed off and letting yourself in a bad situation.
Well, you know, I look back years ago, I ran a 12-hour endurance race before, you know, before the onset of Lemons and Champ Car and all that, but was running in what was then an ITC, a first-gen Honda CRX with about 90 horsepower, with a slew of cars that were in the, I don't know, 300 to 400 horsepower range. And the one thing I remember at the end of the evening, or the end of each one of my stints, was the extreme pain in my right shoulder from holding my hand up and like giving the point by signal all race, all lap long. All right, and we saw there we had a penalty assigned.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
That is your leader in TCR assessed a penalty for the start of this race. That is Shane Jordan given a drive-through penalty. Now he's got another, hour and 5 minutes to serve it, but it cannot be his regular pit stop. He's going to have to make an additional pass through the pits and give up some time. That'll be interesting because he's right now in a pretty good fight with Eric Violet for the lead. You can see Eric just there mixing it up with a couple of GT3s right behind him as they come down through the S's. But this could easily hand the lead over to Eric Violet, and it's going to leave Shane Jordan down a bit, going to have to work his way back through the field if he wants to have a shot to win this race.
Yeah, and I think, Larry, we had seen on the start there, we had cut to the TCR start just as they were coming down the hill, and our current leader, Jordan, had and he was the pole sitter, but he got on the throttle, I think, a little bit early and a little bit before the start zone there, and he was full ahead of the, I think the majority of that TCR field had actually already lined up before they ever got to the start-finish line, and I think the word was that the speed on the start there was a little bit beyond the pace car speed that they should be maintaining.
Yeah, new series, you're the new driver in, you've put it on pole, you're super excited, you're waiting for that start sequence that you've never done before in this series. He just got a little bit ahead of himself. I feel bad for him, but the race is not over. Look, he's 5 seconds ahead of the third and fourth place drivers. If he comes in, serves this, he's gone 5 seconds ahead in 12 minutes of racing with another hour or so to go. It is possible he could get this thing back up there. It's a lot of racing to go tonight. I would not put it past him to have a chance to come back and recover and be there at the end of this thing. But right now the decision becomes, how long does he wait to go in, knowing he's got Eric Violet on pace behind him? Does he try to shake Violet, or does he just come in, service penalty, and then see where the pack puts him when he comes back out?
Yeah, I was going to say that, and I was also sitting at the front of the field there, probably not able to conserve a ton of fuel. Maybe it does make sense to come in early and see if he can pick up another train and get pulled around at least for a couple laps, since he still is going to have to take a mandatory pit stop as well. And I say mandatory only because even with the stop and go, he's not going to be able to make it to the end of the 75-minute race on fuel. As we jump over now to the battle for third with Evan Peichel pressuring Travis Schwenke. You'll see there Robert Hartley just a little bit back from the shot there. But the Porsche, as we've seen, has been very good on the brakes, so maybe a little bit better than the Mercedes. The Mercedes certainly has the grunt out of some of these corners, however, but I suspect this is another one of those battles, Larry, that's probably at least up to our pit window.
It just might. Schwenke obviously under a lot of pressure right now. Peichel looking very quick. What I'll be interested in is how do these cars progress and change speed throughout the course of the 75-minute race? Because sometimes you may be fast in a 4-lap qualifying, you might be fast in the first 11 to 15 laps, but how does your tires and how does that car handle when suddenly the temperatures on the track change, your setup changes a little bit, how it feels when you get to be 60 minutes, 70 minutes into this race and you're fighting for that one position come the closing lap. So that's what I'd be looking at when you see a driver like Peichel running the Porsche while the rest of these guys have all decided to opt for the Merc. Let's see if maybe there's a difference between them at the end of this race. Last boy, really laying him down right now, just flying out there at pace all by himself.
Yeah, has opened up a 4-second advantage over Mike Dam. Only 12 laps into this race. All right, and we're getting word now from race control that Shane Jordan is going to need to serve that drive-through penalty, Larry, this time by.
Okay. Not surprised with that. It has been a couple laps since he was assessed that penalty. So we'll see what he does. And of course, at this point, Eric Violet's just using, if he can, any kind of draft to do a little bit of fuel savings behind him and taking advantage of it. It might have actually been in Shane Jordan's best interest to pit as early as possible.
As early as he can, yeah.
And not give that draftability to Eric behind him. But Shane's shown the pace. Here he comes in. You can see him running down the inside. He's not. Well, let's see what the stewards have to say about that.
All right. Well, as I'm listening to race control, I think they're explaining the ruling, and I'm sure that it's probably more for the number 86 machine right there. I'm only hearing one end of the conversation there, but they've given him the opportunity to complete this lap and head into the pits as he was getting that explanation from race control.
There may be several conversations happening around this that we're obviously not able to hear. But look at this, as it looks like the 60 of Thorman, the 27 of Harrison on the outside, and that's contact coming around to the S's there. And it looks like Thorman's going to take the worst of it. He's off in the gravel trap. Now he's going to have to get momentum going. Doesn't look like he's got any damage, but certainly going to lose a lot of track position.
Yeah, so and we'll have to see, speaking of the stewards, how they look on that as both he and Harrison get together over at 10B.
That's always tight. We talked about it in the start, how tight it is down here, and now we'll get a good chance. You can see Harrison on that right side. He's going to try to outbrake him. He does, but there's not much room to go. Probably tucks in maybe a little bit where he shouldn't be. Thorman probably thought he was clear, but he was not. That's a tough incident there. The stewards will probably take a look at it. I do wonder if Harrison may have been in that bit of the rough area, that bit of a blind spot, as it looks like the 10 and the 87 now coming together. That's Thomas and Sterling. Thomas doing the push to
bump
pass.
and run there, yeah. Exactly.
Wow.
Push to pass.
Thomas making the move.
Just
in
gave
the
him a little
Lamborghini.
love tap there.
Just a little. We'll see how that goes down, but that's haven't seen that in a while. That's awfully a NASCAR kind of move going on here.
Yes.
Coming out of turn 5, heading down to 6.
Well, maybe he thought with the leopard skin there, none of us would notice it. All right, we still have this battle between Jacobs and Daniel.
And right on the heels of Morris. This is the 2-3-4 in the GT3 AMP category all together. And Brown's just another second behind them, or second and a half.
Not far back.
Yeah, you can see him there in the back of the shot. Tight battle here for podium spots in GT3M. Meanwhile, Gortson is still out there chasing down the front of the field, trying to stay with the front pack. But he's got about a 15-second advantage on these guys. These guys now are just all on their own, fighting for 2 out of 3 to get a podium.
Yeah, and so Gortson, he doesn't have those 2 or 3 cars as a buffer, but he's got a lot of time as a buffer now. There is, he's worked his way up into to 8th position overall in the leader in GT3 AMP.
Gortson's up there with Jennifer McDonald. Jennifer, of course, running in the pro category, and Gortson running in the AM, but having a good little battle. Right on cue.
It's almost as if Jonathan was listening to us here.
I suspect Jonathan was listening, yes. He just rolled his eyes at me in verbal form. But yes, Jennifer here fighting in the 7th position. Gortson in the 1st position in the AM, 8th on track. But Jennifer, again, laying down some pretty good laps here early in this race. They're trying to catch Nick Risaputo, who's up there in the 6th spot. And, of course, trying to get around the TCRs, that being the 37.
That's Brad Husty giving him a very wide berth, coming through 1 and going up to 3.
Oh, this train gets tighter now. As looks like Thorman now going to try to make a move on the inside. Trying to get up underneath Steve Daniel, not to be this time. But right there, of course, behind him is Alex Brown. So there is the 2-3-4-5 battle here in GT3 AM, nose to tail.
Yeah, and of course Thorman trying to make up some ground after that spin into the gravel over at turn 10B.
Managed to get by, it looks like one of these, but
he's gotten around Alex Brown.
Yep, he's got the next 2 in front of him, and you know that those 2 are both notoriously wide cars.
Yes.
For Thorman to try and get right. He's going to have to get a good run off of 7. I'll tell you, this is one of the hardest corners on this track. There's a lot of difficult corners. Obviously, turn 1, turn 3. But turn 7, because of the nature of the reward that you get for hitting it right, is to me the most difficult and critical corner on the track. You get that run off of 7, and you've got that nice long run on the back straight. You screw that up, and either you're slow or you're in the grass on driver's left, neither of which is going to get you all the way down the hill any faster.
And, and I've been watching specifically as Jeff Jacobs has been going. Oh,
that's Thorman spinning.
That's Thorman coming up the hill out of 10B and into the bridge abutment. And so Chris Thorman, I think that car is likely done for the evening.
No, and now we've got Peichel mixing it up with the Orion boys, and still Schwenke out in front of him. But Hartley's
caught up to him here, and they had to work their way through some of the TCR traffic as well.
Peichel playing the meat in the Orion sandwich right now.
All right, let's take a look, Larry, and see exactly what happened to Chris Thorman. He's had a lot of issues tonight over at 10B.
Yep. So we'll take a look at Thorman. He's going to be the first car in your shot there, and I suspect perhaps grass on driver's left. He gets just an edge of dirt on the left, and that slams him into that bridge abutment, and that's going to end his night, or at least put him on a long tow, and a lot of work happening for his crew there.
Yeah, and it looks like the stewards are now reviewing the original incident between the number 60 car and Jack Harrison's Porsche. At this point, there's not much that the 60 car can do, but we'll see exactly if there's any penalty assigned to the 27 car as we jump back over to this battle.
So Shane
right
Jordan
now.
Still has not served that penalty, as Eric Violette is still chasing him down. Probably not going to be too aggressive, knowing that there may be penalties to come. Right now, they're about 4 seconds clear of Violette's teammate, Eric Whitworth, or Brandon Whitworth. So probably not in any aggressive position to need to get by. At this point, looking more in his mirrors as I see a BMW of Jennifer McDonald making her way on by with that Jake Gortson, the AM leader.
Gortson in tow. What I was going to say before we had Thorman go off, and we see it here as well with Gortson coming out of turn 7, Larry, as far as the importance of turn 7. Now, you typically think of the rear-wheel drive Porsches as being able to just kind of hunker down out of those slower corners and really get good digs, get good launches. But watching how soft the rear end of the Mercedes appears, and when it comes through turn 7, you can see it that it will just kind of dip the left rear fender down, and it just squares up the rear and just launches out of that corner. It's really amazing to watch, and it's different than any of the other cars than the Ferrari or the Porsche or the Lamborghini for that matter.
Just watching Jeff get such a good run down that back straight, and Steve Daniel was alongside him for a moment, unable to do anything with it. And a tuck in behind. Jeff putting the Merc through all it's got, all the glorious sounds I'm sure he's listening to, just grinning ear to ear, driving that car right now. But it definitely has the legs. I can explain why some of these drivers have opted to switch to the Merc for the season, getting out of things like the Porsche and
just eats up the curbs. It just appears to be a much more softly sprung car than the others. All right, let's take a look now as we've got Peichel and Schwenke, as has been going on now, I think since lap 6, Larry. Was the first time that we checked in on this battle, and Evan Peichel just cannot seem to find a way to even get up to the door of the number 16 machine.
It seems that he's just faster in all the wrong spots to be able to make a pass. I suspect he's faster up here through turn 3, all the way down the hill around to turn 5. But unfortunately, he's not faster in a straight line, including coming off of 7 all the way to the best passing zone there at the bottom of the hill for the chicane. So we'll see if he's got anything. Maybe he'll be one of those early stoppers and try to do a jump in the blitz.
All right, so you can see here we're following Alex Brown in the number 43 machine. That's because he just had a little bit of an issue over at turn 5. Let's take a look and see exactly what happened, Larry.
Down the S's. Let's see where he gone. There he is, coming off a 5. Looks like he's, as you described in the opening, to be fearful of that left side wall.
Man,
he got up close and personal with it.
And he just realized he can't do a donut and spin the rear car 2 or 3 times there, trying to get the car out. A little less throttle, or maybe a little more reverse, and he is now back underway. But that is just a painful experience there. Yeah, it's so common, Larry, because turn 5 is uphill. The exit is somewhat blind. In order to see it, you have to turn in a little bit later than you would think, which is not the fast way. And so what ends up happening is drivers very typically will turn in a little bit early. The rear end will walk around on them.
It's a lot like Laguna Seca turn 6.
Yeah.
It's like the same concept where there's a right and a wrong turn-in point. You get it wrong, you end up driver's left into the wall.
Yeah, and the other issue that you have there at turn 5 is that you have so many different types of track surface all intersecting. You've got a gravel trap that is shaped like a diamond. You've got the curbing, you've got concrete from the crossover road, and you've got the asphalt there. And it's very easy to get the car unsettled.
Yeah, which is why it's one of the points of this track that just scare that bejesus out of me is those various surfaces. It's so hard to get the thing to bite on there. What you're looking for, you throw the car in, it's a fast corner, you come plummeting down the hill, you just want to throw the car in and have it squat, plant, and shoot out of there down that short straight. You just can't, because it's bouncing all over the place.
All right, here we go. We're on board right now with Mike Dam, and you can see the relative speed differential in speed between the GT3 cars and the TCR cars. Now, Mike Dam, for all you know, he's your leader with nobody ahead of him for over 4 seconds except his teammate, our true race leader. That is William Laster. Running a very strong race right now is Mike Dam, and there is Laster as he is bobbing and weaving his way through TCR traffic as well.
Yeah. Tom Jenkins there in the TCR that he was just passing. Jenkins running at about 5th right now. Looks like a TCR. But yeah, great race so far. Laster flashed his light saying hi. Yes, he knows if there's a camera on him, I suspect. Or maybe he's flashing into the car out in front of him. Could be. I don't know. But he's running very fast. But you'll notice his lead was about 5 seconds not long ago, down to 3.1 seconds. So I don't know if this is just because of that TCR traffic that he was being deliberate to try and get by, or if Mike Dam is actually chipping away. And taking out a couple of tenths. You can see there, half a second lap 16, a couple more tenths on 18, a couple more tenths on 20. So he's definitely getting his work done. And again, continuing. I'm wondering if right now Mike Dam's a little bit more efficient through traffic, picking up a second and a half just on this last time by. So I wonder if he's a little bit quicker in traffic, or maybe luckier to catch the cars at the right spots than is Laster, who even here catching a GT3 at least, trailing on the back of Alex Brown, in there, the number 43. But still, he probably wants to go faster, not able to through those S's.
And you can see there, Brown, one, I think, showing a little deference to our race leader, but also being quite a bit more careful through turn 5 than lest he have the exact same issue that he had a lap earlier. All right, let's take a look here as we jump a little bit further forward. Well, is it further forward or further back? But we're looking right now at the number 10 car. That's Nate Thomas, currently sitting 4th in the AM category. And looks as though he just made the pass on Ed Morris. Morris sitting in the Porsche 911 directly behind him.
Yeah, I think the Lamborghini's showing it's got some legs here tonight as well, able to make these passes. He's got now Steve Daniels next in his sights on track. He's making his way through the field is our man Nate Thomas, one of our newcomers to the field.
Ooh, and Nate drops a wheel there coming out of turn 5. So a little puff of the gravel trap there.
So listening to us talking about how much fun it is to hit all 5 different surfaces there, showing us exactly which ones they are.
Yes, one with each wheel. Oh no, that's 4 wheels. Never mind. All right. And the last time by, last lap, Thomas about about 0.3 faster than Steve Daniel and about 0.6 faster than Jeff Jacobs in open air there.
Yeah, but Jeff Jacobs has pulled away. We checked it a bit ago. He was just nose to tail, had Steve Daniel on him. Jeff now about 2 seconds up, so he's been able to, again, could be making their way through TCR traffic. That does help. But either way, right now, Jeff trying to pull away, maybe trying to make Nate Thomas work a little bit to get around Steve Daniel, further helping Jeff's cause here. Try and lock in this second place so far here in this AM class, but we are not even yet at the pit stop window. We're maybe at the window, but certainly nobody's been going for it yet, so that will change everything when we start seeing that.
Yeah, and Larry, I think we're still a bit short on. I think the pit window for the GT3 cars probably should be opening up around lap 25 or so. So still 2 to 3 laps for our leaders, and in TCR probably somewhere around lap 21. The TCR cars are actually, I think, getting somewhat close to the opening of their pit window.
Just taking a look now and see Hartley now has faded back just a bit from that Schwenke-Peichel battle. You can see Hartley doing his best to get through the traffic that both Schwenke and Peichel were able to snake through. But a couple of seconds now that Hartley's got in front of him to be able to catch up to that twosome, as they are again making their way through all of this feisty TCR traffic. It just makes it that much more difficult, but it presents a lot of opportunities for some of these drivers, either to make up ground or opportunities to lose ground, as we happen to see sometimes.
All right, and now as Schwenke and Peichel are going to have to start weaving back and forth between Shane Jordan and Eric Violette as they head down the hill. So Peichel losing a little bit of ground to the Orion Mercedes, makes it up under braking. You know, but again, when you look at this very long back straight here, and as you said, turn 7 is, I think, can be the deciding factor in a race and the kind of jump you get out of that corner. And the Mercedes just gets such a better launch out than the Porsche does, that the Porsche can make up some of that ground under braking going down the hill into turn 10A. The problem being is that the Porsche is already about a car length to a car length and a half back from the Mercedes once they get into the braking zone.
It becomes a send-it move rather than a calculate. But look at this as they come up the S's, how much Peichel is right up underneath the back of Schwenke's Merc, and I do suspect that's where Peichel's faster is, all the way from turn 1 all the way to turn 7, but from 7 all the way down to 10, I think its speed belongs to the Mercedes.
And you'll see here as they come out, and just even that, you see there about 3/4 to a full car length just coming out of the corner. And also, Larry, it was an interesting shot as they came down through the S's, and yes, you could see that the Porsche was carrying much more speed than Schwenke's Mercedes down through the S's. But as they came through turn 5 and as they got the cars squared up, that's where, again, the Porsche was able to kind of hunker down and was able to open up maybe another 3/4 of a car length, so that when they came up to turn 6, Peichel was still a couple car lengths back. Oh, and coming down, and he gathers it up. Look, as they're coming out of turn 12, was that Alex Brown again?
May have been. Maybe just trying to avoid these guys and just say, hey, I don't want to be anywhere near them. Let these guys play through.
And almost lost the car in the process there, and was able to gather it back up. The retaining wall, the concrete wall there, only about 5 feet off the edge of the pavement. Drivers right there as you come out of turn 12 and come on in the front straight.
A little bit of grass there as Evan Peichel coming out of 5. Just a little bit, kicking the grass up with the right side of that car, but didn't seem to hurt him too badly. Just maybe a 10th loss there.
Yeah, it'll give Schwenke a little bit of breathing room. All right, so I'll tell you what, Larry, we're up at the top of the hour right now. It is 9 p.m. Eastern time. We are now just about 35 minutes into this 75-minute race here from Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta. So let's take a quick break. We're going to thank some of our sponsors, and when we come back, we'll have more action and probably a lot of pit stops for the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics. We'll be right back.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com. Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
Allow extreme scoring to do the work for you.
And we're back here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta for round one of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics. I'm Greg Ginsburg along with Larry Lefty McLeod. And Larry, I think starting up here, we're going to jump to something that happened maybe 10 seconds before we came on air. We've been watching that battle between Schwenke and Peichel. And
this is why you don't want to go out of your way to let traffic by, because that dirt gets there fast, and so does the wall.
Boom, and Pan Hiraday as he lets these drivers by. But I think more so, look at the resilience and the strength of some of these TCR cars, because he just went broadside into that tire wall, probably at a good 35, 40 miles an hour, and just drove right away from it.
Yeah, it seems to be no worse for the wear. His alignment might be a little bit crooked right now, but he's running. I just saw 140 mile an hour on the back straight this time by, so the car doesn't seem to be too much damage there for him. But lesson learned, kids, don't go too far out of your way to let the passing cars on by. You don't want to ruin your own race just trying to help somebody else's. It's a nice thought, but maybe not necessary, as we got the cameras now on Nate Thomas trying to get up underneath Jeff Jacobs. This is the battle for second in the GT3 AM category.
It is, as Steve Daniel, this last time by, went into the pits. And a long, slow run. He's all the way down towards the very end of the pit lane.
Yeah, so this is the first of the this first of the stops really for anybody who didn't get forced in via damage. So this will be interesting to see where he comes back out.
There we go. And so Nate Thomas comes in as well in the number 10 Lamborghini. So this is interesting, Larry, as it shows that Steve Daniel made 2 runs down the pit lane.
That is interesting. So we'll see what that means.
I mean, what it could mean is he didn't get the fuel fill that he wanted and had to come back for more, possibly. As let's jump back over here, Larry. Shane Jordan and Eric Violet, we were talking about this during the break, is it does not appear as though Shane Jordan served that stop and go penalty or drive-through penalty, and I haven't heard anything from race control since. I guess it'll probably end up being something that is looked at post-race. But Eric Violet still just sitting in the draft of the number 86 machine, where he has been since the drop of the green flag.
Yeah, and at one point, though, these two were about 5 seconds clear of Brandon Whitworth. That is now down to 3.5 seconds. So my suspicions here is that Whitworth is doing all he can to hustle. Violet's not being aggressive to get around Shane because he's thinking maybe there's a ruling coming, and Violet might be the shortest pit stop in the TCR field if he's able to hold any fuel behind. Look at this, though. He's going to try and catch a draft behind the GT3 for a moment and push Shane onto a bad line. Doesn't look like Shane's there yet, but he's going to try and force an error here. Eric now on the tail trying to get Shane to a bad line through 3. continuing down now, but it's a one-line track as you get over the crest of 3, and Eric not able to do anything with that. So unfortunately for him.
Yeah, as long as Jordan was able to keep the car from rolling over the curbing drivers left, and now coming in, Mike Dam pitting in from second. You know, when those two cars, oh, and Dam misses this pit stall, has to back the car up.
We'll see what that does for him, because he was a couple of seconds clear of the battle for thirds. We'll see what happens with the having to back up, miss the pit stop, how much time that costs him.
So as I was saying here, as we were watching this this battle between Violet and Jordan, when Violet went and pushed Jordan a little bit wide going into turn 3, as long as Jordan can keep the car from flipping over the curb driver's left, he should be able to hold that position down the line, down through the S's, and he was able to do that. I think if Violet perhaps had been maybe another quarter of a car length up at turn 3, he might have affected the black car's line maybe just a little bit more, as they are now both having to deal with some of our race leaders making it through traffic. There, as you can see, I believe that is the 31 car, our leader, William Laster, knifing his way through the battle for the lead in TCR. All right, Travis Schwenke, driver of the number 16 machine, he now pits in and pits in from now 4th position. So Evan Peichel, who had been in that eternal battle with Schwenke, now moves up into 2nd overall. Robert Hartley, who is still out, is now sitting in 3rd. Just
keep an eye.
3 seconds back.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye as Schwenke completes his pit stop, where he comes back out relative to his teammate Mike Dam, who pitted for the 2nd spot. But as we saw, Mike missing his pit box, having to back up, that could cost him a little bit. He could pull himself back into now a fight with Schwenke for that position when he comes back out. Also now, Peichel, was he holding back or was he giving it all he had? My suspicion is he was giving it all he had, but now with no one in front of him, does he not have a toe? Does he actually run faster? Does he run slower? Let's see what Evan Peichel does here now without Schwenke at his front end. Look at him looking for draft. This says to me he does not have the straight line speed that the other cars do.
Yeah, and the next GT3 car ahead of him on track is the 87 machine. And I think he feels probably just a little bit too far back to catch the draft of the black car there as they come underneath the hill. And let's see if he...
John Sterling.
Yep, and Sterling is going to give him room to go by. And here we go. Both of our TCR leaders, Jordan and Violet, as well as Whitworth, coming in. Robert Hartley in GT3 now pitting in, as is Nick Resputo. So getting very busy here on the pit lane.
Austin Knight also in. It's going to be a busy exchange. Let's see what the time stopped is between Eric Violet and Shane Jordan. As we know, they came in together, but Eric may have been able to save some fuel. Let's see if that pays off right now for Eric and see if he can make the swap in the pits.
And we're starting to see more and more people come on in as Jake Gortson is now in from the lead in GT3 AM, as he almost outbroke himself here. And looks like very similar pit stop times for both Jordan and Violet as they now head out, as do Whitworth and Knight. And Larry, I'm wondering if perhaps I did not see Austin Knight's car go up on the jack stands. On the air jacks there, and I'm wondering if he took front tires. I mean, it's pretty clear that the rest of the TCR cars and TCR drivers in that group that pitted in did take fronts.
Well, they took either just fronts or maybe even all 4. Not quite sure. I can't tell with these guys as they go all 4 in the air. But what I do know is that Shane Jordan's pit stop was quite a bit faster than Eric Violet. About it says here only about 1 second, but consider the time that they pulled away, he's gone from having a 0-second lead to a 2-second lead as they came out. So I don't know if Eric had a bit of an issue. Maybe he didn't have the car in first gear when the car dropped. But
yeah. Matter of fact, if we look at the time in the pit stall, they're almost identical. If anything, Jordan was in for about a tenth longer than Violet did, but the difference was the entire transit time, and perhaps one of them wasn't on the pit limiter, either going down or coming out.
Yep, and there you go. There it is, the pit lane time for Jordan, 2 seconds quicker than anybody else in the field, until you get all the way down to Husty in 6th with that 51-second pit lane time. So great execution there for Shane Jordan to try and secure that lead, now leaving Eric Violet a lot of work to try and catch him back up with only about 30 minutes to do it. So great stop there for Shane Jordan.
All right, Jennifer McDonald in. William Laster, our leader, now on the pit lane, making his way down to his pit stall down at the very end.
Also
of that
want to
pit
take
lane.
note is that Travis Schwenke is now a couple of seconds now behind Mike Dam. So Mike didn't lose all that lead that he had on his teammate there. Still about 6 seconds. But Dam could come back out in second in this race, assuming Peichel gets out of there. Or, sorry, not Peichel. Assuming that Laster gets out of there in a reasonable stop. Peichel, the last of the leaders to pit, he's still on track, trying to get that bonus point.
And there is the that was the 27 of Harrison having some issues coming down the pit lane. I don't know if he actually impacted the wall there, but got the thing gathered back up as Laster is now back on his way. The short run up and out, and a very quick stop for him, almost a full second faster than Mike Dam. Not quite as quick as Travis Schwenke, about 0.3 off of Schwenke's total transit time there.
Yeah, good job for Laster. That's what you do when you want to win races. Those are the things you have to execute. We've seen in the past, bad pit stop ruins your night. In this case for Laster, he executes it to perfection, holding on to the virtual lead, still waiting for Evan Peichel to actually take his stop. He's 36 seconds up the road. We'll see where Peichel lands, because it'll be interesting. We know that Peichel was in that heavy battle with Schwenke, and right in between Schwenke and Hartley. The question will be is, where does Peichel come out when he does finally choose to stop at some point?
And it is getting awfully hectic, Larry, coming down through the S's as we're watching Jeff Jacobs right now, right behind Eric Violet. Violet running very wide through turn 5, manages to gather it back up, straighten that car up, and I guess probably one of the advantages of having front-wheel drive, although I've seen many a front-wheel drive car go off and hit that wall driver's left coming out of turn 5.
Front drive and rear drive, the tire coefficient of friction to grass is just not good.
Not good regardless, but you know, you met the throttle, you got a little bit of a chance there in the front-wheel drive car. As we're watching now Jeff Jacobs, who is currently your leader in GT3 AM, ahead of Jake Gortson.
So that's what we have not talked about. If you're new to the Ricmotech series or family of series, there's points for obviously your finishing positions, but there's also points for things like keeping the race clean, as well as leading a lap or putting on a pole. In this case, you lead a lap for your class, get the bonus point. All adds up at the end of the season.
All right, so Jeff Jacobs now comes down the pit lane. He's going to take his stop. That's going to move Jake Gortson back into the lead. And now Evan Peichel in the Geodesic All-Stars racing machine, the number 23 Porsche. He is now in, and so we're going to have to see where he comes out in comparison to Travis Schwenke. But before we get there, let's see if he can get the car down into the pit box successfully, and I guess we're not going to see that as we jump there. There he is.
We do expect that Laster will likely take the lead back here, as he's just coming out down the hill through that turn 12 right now. And we'll see, though, where does Peichel land relative to Schwenke, currently 4th. Will he be able to get by Schwenke?
And there he goes. Laster goes by, and he retakes the lead now. So as Peichel now comes out, and let's see, where is Mike Dam? Mike Dam goes by, but a very good stop by Evan Peichel as he is able to leapfrog Travis Schwenke, who is now almost 6 seconds in arrears.
Yeah, well, his actual stop time was about 20 seconds. And there you can see it on the graphic. 25 seconds, 24 seconds. Everyone else, Jennifer McDonald, a good 23 seconds. But Evan Peichel just under 21 seconds. That has been able to leapfrog. Not only is he not in the middle of the Orion sandwich as it was between Schwenke and Rob Hartley, he's now all in the mirrors of Mike Dam, who's trying to just get his way around some TCR traffic. And this right now could be the battle for second. This might be his best chance as they come down the hill into the chicane. We know this car has trouble in a straight line. This might be his one opportunity to get past Mike Dam and that power of the Mercedes. Can he make it stick on the inside?
And as they come down the hill, under braking, going down into 10A, they are still door to door, and Peichel is able to power past the Mercedes. So move Evan Peichel now up into 2nd position, move Mike Dam back into 3rd. And so now, Larry, as they come on the front straight here, and his Dam is going to draft up to the back of the Porsche. Is he going to try to throw the car down the inside going up the hill?
Not here.
Close enough.
But, you know, you've talked about it a couple times how well those Mercedes take off of turn 7 and get down that back straight. He wasn't able to the last time because of TCR traffic. If he's smart, he'll set him up here. But now, as you see, Michael's going to get some draft off of the Jeff Jacobs car in front of him, assuming he doesn't get to him before they even get to turn 7, which he just might. The pace Evan's going down through those S's. Boy, he flies through those.
He does. All right, now coming into that very heavily cambered turn 6, and yeah, he might get right up onto the bumper there, and oh, you can see they're pulling all the way drivers right. Is Jeff Jacobs? He's going to
not much of a draft.
Yeah. I was going to say he's going to let Peichel by, but you know, Peichel lost the draft by doing that.
Yep, but he is able to still pull a little bit ahead. And now it's going to leave Mike Dam having to get around Jeff Jacobs, and he does. Jeff being the cordial one to let you guys play on through. And now Mike Dam's got to settle in, find now a full second, because that's what Evan Peichel's just put on him in just a matter of one lap.
Yeah, sometimes the luck with traffic is there, sometimes it isn't. And you saw there Jeff Jacobs not playing any favorites, gave both of the drivers the opportunity to play through, but certainly did not work out to Mike Dam's advantage.
But now Peichel catches a TCR just entering turn 3. Does he take the risk? He does. He goes alongside down the S's, but he had to lift enough, leaving Mike Dam an opportunity to catch right up on him. All of that 1 second lead between these two is gone. As Peichel, he catches the grass coming off his turn 5.
And we've talked about it. You go down through the S's there. There are portions of it that really are a one-lane track. And Panhirade did not have anywhere that he could go. And Evan Peichel didn't have anywhere he could go either. And that allows Mike Dam to get right back up to the rear bumper as they came out of turn 5. But once again, Peichel able to keep up a head of steam going into 6.
He is really taking 6 well. He's got that car on those medium speed corners, just on rails right now, where the Mercedes maybe is struggling through some of those slower middle speed corners and excelling obviously down the straight line speed. But Peichel, he keeps catching TCRs at all the wrong places. This time it's the 21. That's Austin Knight, Lead Power Racing car. Trying not to be a part of a GT3 race, but he's just trying not to do what happened to Panhirade earlier and go off at the bottom of the hill. But it does leave Mike Dam a little bit further back now as they go up through 1.
Yeah, so the gap now almost 2 seconds, or actually about a second and a half, between Peichel and Mike Dam in that battle for second position. And you see there is Jonathan's thrown up the deltas there for the last 5 laps.
Yeah, that 6/10 on lap 38 is really the delta you're seeing here. And you can see that's really hurt him. But again, that just means Evan catches all the TCRs first. So if he can be aggressive and get around them, which he's trying to do here around Brandon Whitworth at number 42, now he can get a good clean exit off of 7 and put Mike Dam now behind the TCR coming off the corner. There's a lot of work out there if you're a GT3 driver tonight.
Yeah, but they're all for the most part running it clean, Larry, and I think you're seeing a lot of cooperation between the GT3 drivers and the TCR drivers. Now we'll see what happens when we get a little bit closer to that 75th minute. But as we're about 50+ minutes into the race so far, that is the way that it's worked out. As we're watching now, Ed Morris, who had been as high as 4th in GT3 AM, now sitting back in 8th position, and he has right behind him
Ricmotech, it looks like, in his GT3. So this is not 4th position. Ricmotech running, I believe, 7th in the GT3 Pro, 8th on track, just behind Jim Fortson. In this case, he's got himself behind Ed Morris, who's one of the AM drivers. He's trying to lap, but Ed's showing some pretty good pace here at this stage of the race. Here's some radio calls saying, use my left. As Rob Hartley now has gained up onto his teammate Travis Schwenke. So this would be the battle for the last of the podium positions. This battle for 4th and 5th, not even a podium between these two teammates.
All right, and Russ Ruddick in the number 95 Lamborghini looks like he may be having some issues. Do we have anything? All right, let's take a look. I think we've got the replay queued up. Let's take a look and see exactly what happened to the Lamborghini. here coming out of turn 1, heading up the hill towards turn 3.
I smell curb. Nope, he just goes straight on through.
Well,
Try to just not hit the curb too hard and try to save the car, but
and let that battle that we were just watching play through.
Yeah, I'm sure that was exactly on his mind when he probably missed the braking point by just a little bit. Unfortunately, at turn 3, you miss it by a little, and you just have to use those access roads.
This is going to get ugly as we've got Hartley and Schwenke coming through turn 5, and Hartley right behind the TCR machine of Eric Violette. And you saw as Violette was just taking his normal line through there, and Hartley had already made the decision to drive around the outside. Well, the outside meant going through the grass.
Yeah, I think we're going to ask Jonathan to throw a replay up, and just in time he does. You watch Hartley here, the third car in the shot, come down the hill, thinking he's going to be able to get around Violet, and he starts maybe inside, outside. I'll go outside. Oh, well, I'll just use a little bit of grass, right back on, and the Hartley Mowing Company doing its job on the front straight at Road Atlanta, and he's no worse for the wear, like nothing ever happened.
Yeah, a little bit of indecision there, but Larry, it's tough that corner, when you're under throttle, doesn't seem so daunting, but as you come down the hill, you get towards that apex. If you have to let out of the throttle quite a bit and unload the rear of the car and put all that weight on the nose, it is really easy to send the rear end around. I mean, we saw exactly what in the case of the front wheel drive Hyundai of Hyundai what happened earlier, but you can have similar results in the number 3. There just isn't a lot of margin for error there because, again, the wall, and you'll see it here as Hartley is coming back to the scene of the crime, the wall is fairly close over on driver's left. Oh no, this is our leader William Laster, and he is now on the pit lane. Looked like he had some damage to the rear end of the car. That was, Larry, I thought that was over by turn 3.
It did look like it, yes. Oh,
yeah,
let's catch
take a look and see.
Here. Laster coming up through 1, looks perfectly clean. He's been a machine all night long, setting up to go now through the 2-3 complex, and oh no, Ruddick did not see him coming, was trying to get off of his own wreck, and unfortunately puts himself right in front of Laster.
And we'll see what happened to Russ Ruddick as well, just ahead of this. But our leader, William Laster, who had built up a tremendous lead over the rest of the field, is now on the pit lane. As we can see, Ruddick now puts the car around, and he's going to, I believe, start to back that car up and try to get it spun around, and he comes right into the path of our race leader, William Laster.
Out of the way, and Laster just saw him coming across, and yeah, for Laster, that ends what had been a perfect night. We even talked about his pit stop was perfect. Everything for Laster had been going well, and unfortunately for there, obviously nothing that Russ was trying to do. Unfortunately, it cost Laster position in the race, which means this, folks, is the overall lead in the race between Evan Peichel and Mike Dam.
Yeah, here we go, as we now have just a little bit over 15 minutes. We'll actually call it closer to 20 minutes remaining here in this race from Road Atlanta, and indeed it is Evan Peichel in the Alpine Stars Geodesic Racing Porsche 911 GT3, and then Mike Dam in the Orion Racing Mercedes-AMG GT3 Evo here. And Larry, I was going to say that this is what we've been seeing all race, but I keep forgetting that we were watching Peichel and Schwenke.
It's a different
for the
Orion.
First half of the race.
And that just shows you the strength of Peichel's great pit stop, able to do that leapfrogging that he made up those 4 seconds or so in the pits. So great job for him. Let's throw a little drama. Let's hope he has enough fuel on board to make it the next 17 minutes and to hold this lead. He doesn't appear to be doing any fuel saving techniques, so I suspect he knows he's good to go. And that's true. Mike Dam also, on the flip side, missed his pit box. So those two events happening together may have brought these two together, and then Peichel taking opportunities coming off of turn 7 to take the position, and now he's been able to hold on to it. Looks like a penalty is assessed to Russ Ruddick. No surprise there for the unsafe re-entry coming back out on the track. I do want to make one other update. Is we were earlier tracking the Shane Jordan. I know we see a lot of GT3s intermixing now with each other, as well as TCRs in the way, but these guys are able to make their own way on through. Want to update quickly on Shane Jordan. So we had earlier the penalty assessed. We thought there was going to be a drive-through. There's been some discussion. They have waived that penalty for this race. They have allowed the start to proceed as it was, so there is no penalty coming for Shane Jordan. So his position on track will be his position in the standings.
And you can see here where Shane Jordan now is, although hounded for the first half of this race by Eric Violet, now after the pit stops, almost a 4-second advantage over the D2D e-racing machine of Violet.
He's got pace, and he's been doing a great job just being cautious enough through the traffic that these GT3s come by to just not put his own line out of question, and that's just been able to build that lead up. So great job there for Shane. 15 minutes to go for him. But this battle of Peichel, and there you can see third car in line is Mike Dam, second on the standings. And in between them is that number 10 second position in GT3M. That is our man Thomas, kind of running with the big boys right now. Nate not going slow.
No, not at all. And Nate, who had started off in, I believe, 12th position, has made up 3 positions overall here this evening. Of course, Jake Gortson currently up to 7th position. We've got Nick Ricciputo in the Mercedes a little bit further up the road.
Yeah, you know, another name we have not mentioned him much at all. Jack Harrison.
Yes.
Started this race down in 21st overall. Has got himself comfortably up into the top 5 right now at 16 positions he's made up in this race. Clearly our biggest mover in the upward swing tonight. You can see him there in number 27. Just a great race. See him now in front of Jennifer McDonald. So Jack Harrison really showing some strong pace here tonight in what I believe is his Ricmotech Series debut.
Welcome, Jack, to the Ricmotech World Challenge, and so far the whole thing about eggs hatching or chicken catching, counting chickens or something like that. Not going to say anything to this point.
I don't know what you're trying to say, but I'm sure William Laster knows what you mean.
Yes. All right, as we jump back now to this battle for the lead, Evan Peichel, and perhaps the portion of the track that Porsche loves the most, has now opened up a little bit under 1 second on Mike Dam. Both of those drivers have been just kind of bobbing and weaving their way through traffic, and now have a little bit of clear track ahead of them. We'll see if the Mercedes of Dam can make up a little bit of ground, maybe get firmly ensconced in that draft of the Porsche, and we'll see if it can use some of its strengths to its advantage. Here's, I think we've got another car up the road, about 40-50 car lengths.
He's definitely got some draft, does Mike Dam. So he's been able to get it now down to about 7/10 as they come into the braking zone for the chicane. But that Porsche is able to put that power down pretty well under the bridge and down the hill, putting now a TCR car between himself and Mike Dam. I think that's
yeah, and you saw there is
21.
Dam had to make the same choice that Robert Hartley had to make a couple laps ago, in coming up behind one of the Lead Paw Racing Hyundai Elantras. And we'll say Mike Dam chose a little more wisely, I think.
Yeah, you know, and our fellow Apex broadcaster Austin Knight not making it too difficult for him as well, letting him make the decision clearly. So good job, Austin. Shout out to him, as I'm sure he's yelling and screaming inside the cockpit of that car. If you've ever heard Austin call a race, and if you're familiar with the history of the Ricmotech series, then yes, you have.
Yes, you have.
He used to call these races Monday nights. He just is so happy he can run his TCRs here. Showing some pretty good speed, currently 4th in that field, just about 3 seconds behind Brandon Whitworth for the last of the podium spots.
All right, as we have just about 15 minutes remaining here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, let's quickly run down the order here. We've been watching that battle for the lead between Evan Peichel and Mike Dam, just a little bit behind. We've got the battle for 3rd right now, Travis Schwenke in the number 16 Orion Machine, with his teammate Robert Hartley in the number 15 Mercedes AMG GT3, currently running in 4th with Jack Harrison, as we talked about in his Porsche 911 GT3. Your 5th place driver, now up 16 positions. In GT3 AM, Jake Gortson running 7th overall. He is currently your class leader with, and we've been watching that battle between Nate Thomas, Jeff Jacobs. They're running 2nd and 3rd in class. John Sterling in the number 87 Porsche running in 4th. Oh no, we'll have to take a look here. I'm getting word that Jeff Jacobs may have just run off track in that battle for third in GT3. And let's take a look here as they make the run down the hill towards turn 10A. And you'll notice here where Jeff is all by himself.
Yep, and I'm wondering if his tires are starting to feel a little bit of those extensive laps, those 48 laps or so that he's got on them. That's because it looked like just almost like a rear lockup at turn in there.
That's right, and so he got the car back underway, but whereas he had about a 10-second advantage over Nate Thomas, probably not Nate Thomas, I'm sorry, in the Porsche, even though he had, yeah, actually, I guess it was Nate Thomas in the Lamborghini, and Thomas now manages to get around Jeff Jacobs, taking over second, and now Dean Dibdahl running fourth back behind Jacobs in the AM category.
Yeah, great to see Dibdahl after the contact with the wall there on the opening laps coming down to the S's. A good solid recovery here for young Dean up into the fourth spot in the AM category. The car looks a little better than it did about an hour and 3 minutes ago.
It's got a hood. I mean, where
it's got a hood back on it.
Front.
Yes, his luggage is fully covered at this point. Yes. But Dean, you having a good race here on a recovery drive. That is, though, the leader in front of him in class, Gortson, that he's following around.
Yeah, I think Dean, though, I believe Dean is, no, I'm showing it. He's on the same lap. I thought he was a lap down, but
he should be one lap from that teammate.
Yes.
I think he's on in terms of numbers of lap down, but he's just one lap down. But again, at this point, considering the extra time he spent in the pits, that's a pretty good result for him so far. About 9 minutes to go before we see checker, but for Dean, he's got to be feeling a little better than he did about an hour or so ago. There you can see the one lap on the standings shown accurately. Back to our podium fight for the overall. Schwenke, Hartley, still, as they've been since the end of the pit stops, pretty much nose to tail. Schwenke had been up into the third position most of this race, fighting with Peichel. Peichel manages to make the great pit stop, get around Mike Dam, and now he's leading the race, leaving Schwenke to fight it out with the other overall driver, Rob Hartley.
They're both coming up on our TCR leader. There's the number 86 machine of Shane Jordan. Jordan now with a 4-second advantage over Eric Violet. So we were running down the order there. And again in TCR, Shane Jordan currently your leader, Brandon Whitworth. Eric Violet running in second, Brandon Whitworth third. Austin Knight now sitting in fourth with Tom Jenkins running in fifth.
Is this good little battle still going on? We talked earlier a few minutes ago about Jack Harrison making that run from outside the top 20 in this race up into the top 5. But Jennifer McDonald is not letting him go. She is hitched on the back of that Porsche pretty closely. We know that from all the other cars here, the Merc has been pretty strong in a straight line. But in this lap, at least, it looks like Porsche is going to get some Porsche draft off the back of one of the others there in front of him. And I'm not sure which one that is. If that's the number 7.
7, I
Ed
believe,
Morris,
of
perhaps.
Morris.
Either Ed or his teammate. It is Ed. But look at Jennifer. Still, even though there's draft and an advantage there for Harrison, Jennifer is going to push him literally down the hill.
And Harrison cuts all the way over to the inside and pushing him literally through 10A as Harrison came all the way across to hold off the charge of Jennifer McDonald as they now complete their 52nd lap, starting lap number 50, or pardon me, they complete their 51st lap, starting their 52nd lap.
Yeah, that was almost a good opportunity for Jennifer McDonald, but great driving there for Harrison to make sure not to give that up, holding that tight line to get to the inside of that chicane.
And I think more importantly, he made the move when he had to. If he had waited if he had waited maybe another millisecond or two, McDonald would have punted him probably into the gravel trap. So good timing there as we now have one of the D2D cars running wide to let these GT3 drivers by.
As well as Jeff Jacobs, good friend to Jennifer McDonald, he lets the two of them play on through. He's not going to get in the middle of their race. And we'll see now if Jennifer gets a good solid run off of 7 to see if she can make a move on Jack Harrison.
And she's a little bit further back this time, getting out of the corner.
Yeah, Harrison definitely got a good run there on this lap. But you can see, look at the trap speed as they're coming down. You can see the gap closing between them, physically closing, now down to less than a car length. It was probably about 3 or 4 car lengths when they entered the straightaway. But the brakes on the Porsche proved supreme at the end of that straightaway.
Yeah, I think she's going to need to get a little bit closer to the wing of that Porsche coming out of turn 7, as we see now where Harrison has to take evasive action to get around Eric Violette coming out of turn 12. Might have lost maybe 1/10 of a second there at most.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if the BMW doesn't have that same straight line speed that the Merc does, where we've seen some of the other Mercedes be able to pass Porsches like that, or at least be able to get up next to them. Doesn't look like the BMW piloted by Jennifer has that same ability to squat coming off of that turn 7. So she's going to have to work a little bit more, continue to try and maybe use some traffic, try and get this spot here into the top 5 that currently Jack Harrison's hanging on to.
Oh, McDonald, she takes a look to the inside of Shane Jordan, and coming down into turn 6, realized she wasn't quite close enough. She had been flashing the headlights at him, and Jordan went to take the apex. McDonald had to back off. She's going to lose a little bit more ground to the Porsche of Harrison now.
Yeah, just a little bit. You know, this time they use a little bit of the Brad Husty draft as well, but she's going to get some of it, but I don't think she'll be in the same position coming into the straightaway she was. Still going to be about 5-6 car lengths back. A lot of work to go as we flash up to our leader with less than 5 minutes to go.
Less than 5. That's
Peichel
right.
doing a great job tonight, but Mike Dam not really having anything for Peichel at this stage of the race.
Yeah, and in just the last 2 laps, Larry, Evan Peichel has opened up almost a full, another full second on the Mercedes.
Take a look at that lap time.
Gap now to 3.3 seconds,
Yeah.
and if we take a look here, actually, Mike Dam that last time by was about 2/10, a little bit more than 2/10 of a second faster, but on the overall, Peichel has a faster lap.
He does. He's been quicker over groups of these 5 and 6 laps at a time. Yeah, he might give up 1, but he certainly has that average speed going for him. And that 17.8 is just cruising fast on lap 52 that he did in this race. He is trying to put a stamp on this thing and walk away with the opening round win. It's got probably about 3 laps to go, I suspect, as they're running this
with
minute,
with
4th lap.
Yeah, and we're looking at now about 3 minutes remaining, so yeah, probably about 3 laps.
We'll see. All he's got to do is 3 more times around Road Atlanta. Meanwhile, the battle of teammates for 3rd and 4th continues. Schwenke leading Rob Hartley. We'll see if Hartley makes a late race move here shortly and tries to get around that team. A bit of wrinkle in the front splitter of Travis Schwenke's car. The lead of these two, like maybe either some curbing or maybe even got in the back of somebody, perhaps a little pushing situation somewhere.
Yeah, possibly.
On that right front.
So if it was on the left front, I might have thought perhaps going into turn 5, curbing at the apex there does have a pretty big rise to it. And again, the Mercedes, I think, are a little bit more softly sprung than some of the other platforms out there.
If it's curbing, I wouldn't be surprised if it's turn 3. If it wasn't actually another car that he made contact with, because the curbing at turn 3 is relatively high. You do have to throw the car aggressively over it to get a good, to keep the momentum across there. Can cause some damage, so perhaps that's all it is to that front splitter.
All right, Evan Peichel starts at lap number 56, the penultimate lap, about a lap and a half remaining here from Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. We're watching this battle for the last podium position with Travis Schwenke and Robert Hartley. With Mike Dam in a very good spot right now, sitting 2nd overall. But as we watch this battle between Schwenke and Hartley not able to close things down on the 16 machine, still about 2.5 car lengths back, and just seem the 2 cars just seem to be very evenly paced. And I think they're being driven very similarly, Larry. I think the major differences you have, and when the gap between the 2 cars accordions one way or the other, pretty much has to do with the traffic. As it looks like Shane Jordan now, and this is interesting, Larry. Shane Jordan our leader in TCR comes down the pit lane.
I wonder if this is a fuel issue. He didn't fuel the car potentially enough to, because we did say that this is not a penalty, this is not a drive-through. I do suspect this is flash and go of fuel, leaving Eric Violet now to resume the lead. Brandon Whitworth going to take second, and unfortunately, another great race for Jordan is going to be kind of washed away here. Potentially going to end up back in third as long as he can stay ahead of Austin Knight.
And look at this, as Eric Violet's got tons of traffic that he's holding off through the S's there. And fourth car in that line was Evan Peichel, who is now sitting right behind the number 63 machine going into turn 6. And all Peichel has to do is just keep the nose clean.
Just finish
at this
the race.
point. Oh.
And is that Violet off the road behind them or not? That might have been Brandon Whitworth.
I think that was Brad Husty who just went off over turn 7.
Yeah, because that's Violet there now, getting the pass by McDam. But boy, I tell you, Evan Peichel got to be a little bit nervous here, saying, "Hey, my buddies in the Porsches, can you just let me play through, please?"
All right. And so he gets around one of them, and I thought as Peichel was going down that perhaps he was worried that perhaps he wouldn't get the difference from the 87, but Peichel now coming through turn 12 for the very last time. He's going to take the checkered flag. Your winner tonight for round 1 of the Ricmotech World Challenge, Evan Peichel from Alpine Stars Geodesic Racing. Coming home in second, Mike Dam from Orion Racing, and the battle for third, the two teammates, Travis Schwenke. He's going to hold off Robert Hartley at the line. Schwenke finishes in third. Hartley with the little wiggle there at the end. He comes home in fourth. Of course, we saw that our winner in TCR was Eric Violet, with Brandon Whitworth coming in second, Austin Knight coming home in third, and now we know who our second place runner is in GT3 AM. The question is, who is our leader? So Nate Thomas has already crossed the crossed the start-finish line. He comes home in second. We're looking right now at, we're looking at Nate Thomas. What we want to try and pick up is Jake Gortson, as Gortson comes down out of turn 12 and taking the win in GT3 AM here at round 1. Jake Gortson in the number 12 machine.
Great run for Gortson, really showing impressive pace. Class of the field tonight, opened it up early and just kept going as if he was a GT3 Pro driver. Great pace to take that win. I feel for Shane Jordan right now.
Oh my gosh,
a little splash and go with a lap to go is just it's heartbreaking to have a race that he just had a stranglehold on. He's going to go home in fourth, and next time, the extra couple of tenths of fuel to be added. But great race for him. Unfortunately, just a little bit longer than the car was willing to go.
All right, Larry, so let's do this. Let's take a quick break. We're going to thank some of our sponsors, and when we come back to Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, we're going to talk to some of our podium finishers here across our 3 classes. You have just witnessed the finish of round 1 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics, and we'll be right back.
Extreme scoring to do the work for you.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
And welcome back to Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, where we've just seen a very exciting round one of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics. I'm Greg Ginsburg along with Larry Lefty McLeod. And let's take a look at that finishing order. Once again, Evan Peichel from Alpine Stars Geodesic Racing was your winner, with the 3 Orion Racing teammates finishing second, third, and fourth. Mike Dam, Travis Schwenke, and Robert Hartley. And then your hard charger of the evening, having made up 16 positions tonight, Jack Harrison from Jack's Pink Pig Racing. Say that 25 times real fast. He finishes in 5th in the pro category. In GT3 AM from Reverse Grid Racing, Jake Gordson takes the win, with Nate Thomas finishing 2nd. Jeff Jacobs coming home in 3rd. Great runs from Dean Dibdahl and Steve Daniel. Dibdahl having that very early off that put him all the way back to the very back of our 30 plus car field, and he makes his way all the way back up to 4th in class. And then if we take a look at TCR, where Eric Violet comes home with the win tonight on the very last lap, representing D2D E-Racing. His teammate Brandon Whitworth comes home in 2nd. Austin Knight rounds out the podium, comes home in 3rd from Lead Paw Racing. And as we said, Larry, absolute heartbreak there for Shane Jordan. There were obviously some questions about the start of tonight's race and whether or not he was going to have to serve that penalty. But in the end, just a little bit short on fuel, and he comes home in 4th this evening. So let's do this. We've got a lot of our podium finishers here lined up. Let us start off with, let's see, I think we're going to start off with our, well, I was going to say with our winner in TCR, Eric Violet, but we don't have our winner, Eric Violet, here in the room. Let's start off with Brandon Whitworth from D2D E-Racing, finishing 2nd tonight in TCR.
There you go. We got Brandon Whitworth in here finishing 2nd in TCR. And Brandon, maybe that's a bit of a surprise to you, but tell me a little bit about that race tonight as everybody's jumped into Hyundais.
Yeah, well, I didn't drive fast enough. I don't know. I don't have a lot of time in this car, so we're still kind of working out setup a little bit. I'm sure that we'll get it there.
Yeah, well, we were talking to you guys just a couple of weeks ago as we were closing out the sports car series, and you guys were still running at that point in the Hondas, and we see you guys tonight jumping into the Hyundais. Is that the potential of the platform that'll hopefully get you there as the season progresses?
Yeah, we weren't going to drive the Honda again.
No knock the Honda, but the Hyundai is certainly shown to be a pretty competent package.
Yeah, unfortunately the Honda, they needed to do some tweaking on it. I don't know what the deal is with that one. It's just a little too slow.
Yeah, but interesting tonight now. We've switched from the past seasons of World Challenge running the LMP2s, and tonight we now have the TCRs mixing it in with the GT3s. What's your thought on now being that position in this field, now running against GT3s instead of GT4s like you were in the sports cars just a couple weeks ago?
It's not too bad. I didn't have a whole lot of luck with traffic in this race, but that's just kind of the way multi-class goes. It doesn't really matter what the classes are. But yeah, it's not too bad. Their mid-corner speed's higher than ours, but it's not insanely higher. And then this makes it, they got enough power to make it easy to pass on the straight. So it seemed to work out pretty well.
Yeah, well, for you, it worked out just well enough to get yourself up onto the 2nd spot on the podium. So congrats on that. Congrats on driving out there in the new Hyundais, and I'm sure as the season goes on, we'll be seeing you guys work on that setup and maybe be fighting for top spots as well. So, Brandon and the D2D E-Racing team, good job tonight, and we'll see you guys in a couple weeks.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, there you go. Brandon Whitworth, driver of the number 42 D2D E-Racing Hyundai Elantra. And Larry, we have now picked up our TCR winner. He's sitting in the green room. Let's bring in Brandon's D2D Racing teammate, Eric Violet, our winner tonight in TCR.
Eric Violet, and to some maybe a bit of a surprise, they're the winner in TCR tonight. Tell me a little bit about your vantage point of this race tonight.
You guys got a copy first? I'm making sure the push to talk thing is okay.
Yep, we're good.
Oh, sorry. My vantage point, it was a whole lot of the back of Mr. Jordan there the whole race. He was super quick.
Yes, yeah, he was. He showed great pace tonight, but you hung with him up until the pit stops, and suddenly you guys came in together, but you didn't come out together. Issue on your side, or did he just execute that well?
Well, I was there. I didn't think taking tires only cost me like 0.7 seconds or something. So I'm like, I'll just take the tires, and I'll get out, and I'll be in the draft. That probably maybe would have worked, but the traffic was a killer. I know he got stopped a few times, but I mean, there was one time it was like 2-second gap. I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't keep doing this. So that's the way multi-class racing goes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And unfortunately, it looked like for Shane, perhaps a bit of shy on the fuel load there, which might have been why he was able to pull out of the pits just a moment before you. But your consistency gets you there at the end of the race, but not without the drama at the end. So much other traffic, the leaders in those GT3s coming through. It seemed like even on the last lap. At that point, you know what's happened to Shane. Are you just trying to stay out of their way?
You talk about the GT3s?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was pretty brutal. Yeah, once it was about 5, maybe even 10 minutes to go, I was like, all right, I'm just gonna do this. I don't need to get in a wreck. I'll take second. There were some issues with the start, so I didn't know if I was just racing a ghost or not. But I think it's hopefully it all just kind of worked itself out, and it's not an issue.
Yeah. In fact, they had notified us mid-race that they've actually waived that penalty that was initially assessed to Shane. At the end of the day, unfortunately, his fuel load issue ended up deciding his fate for him. I'm sure, though, he's not done this season. You've got a pretty good, strong challenger there and a pretty deep field here at TCR.
Yeah, it's really weird, the fuel calcs. And I was talking to him ahead of time, and I thought he was going to... I gave him some numbers, and I think he said he was going to take more anyway. So I'm like, oh, okay, he'll be safe. But I don't know. During the race, my calcs on my dash said I needed an extra gallon more than I was planning on. I was in the draft. So I don't know. It was very bizarre. I did a ton of testing, so I knew exactly how much fuel I needed to take. But that's bizarre. Yeah,
very. But the good news is going forward, I think you guys are learning a lot. New platform for the D2D iRacing team to be jumping over from the Honda. We were just talking to Brandon about that. Great to see you guys competitive for wins, and tonight even getting that inaugural victory here in the season. So good job there for this victory. Anybody you want to give a special thanks to?
You know, I usually got my list going. Things are just kind of so frazzled here. I'm not really prepared, so I'll just thank the league, thank you guys, thank the admins, and it was a blast running with these guys. And hopefully, we're tighter next time, and we can probably put a better show on for you guys.
It was a solid show for us tonight. You guys did a good job in getting the victory tonight. Eric, congratulations, and see you in a couple weeks.
All right, thanks a lot, man.
All right, there you go. Eric Violet, your winner tonight in TCR, driving the D2D iRacing number 89 Hyundai Elantra. So, Larry, let's move over now to GT3 AM. And this is somebody we definitely want to talk to in his very first outing in the World Challenge, making up 16 positions, finishing second in class tonight. Driver of the number 10 Driftline Racing Lamborghini, it's Nathan Thomas.
All right, Nate Thomas joining us here, and Nathan, it looks like a good podium finish here for you. What I believe is your first run in the Ricmotech series. Do I have that right?
Yeah, in recent history at least. I ran back when they did Mustangs, but I haven't run in their GT series, so excited about it.
Well, welcome to the GT3s. A pretty solid first night here, putting it up on the podium. Tell me a little bit about your experience tonight.
Yeah, I'd say the pace was on. The pace was kind of what I expected. It exceeded all of kind of my practice and qualifying, but the actual racecraft was not my night. I ended up getting a penalty at the beginning, had to drive through, and then was driving kind of like a hacked off teenager the rest of the time, trying to catch up and get back to the front. So managed to pull out a P2. I was nowhere close to Jake, but had a good time doing it. Hopefully we'll be in the same position in the future, but with a little bit better racing.
Yeah, and that's it's one of those things. The first time you get into a league like this, you don't know everybody. Sometimes you come back into a league and things kind of come at you a little bit. But you did a good job tonight. Some of those teenage antics apparently didn't cost you too much. You managed to get it up there on the podium. Anybody you want to thank here for the first podium back in the racing?
Yeah, Kevin Ford and the whole Extreme Motorsports staff and team. I mean, I've been in a couple of leagues in the last couple of years. This has been the best one by far as far as racecraft and organization and overall presentation. So really enjoy that and appreciate it. the family, Driftline Racing, girlfriend for saying go for it in the league, and yeah, that's all.
Awesome. Well, congrats tonight on that podium, and cannot wait to see the rest of the season, how it goes, as everybody settles in a little bit down the road here in World Challenge. So, Nate Thomas, congratulations. Second spot, AM class.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, there you go. Congratulations to Nate Thomas. Now let's move over to our winner in GT3 AM, Larry. Jake Gortson, driver of the number 12 Reverse Grid Racing Mercedes-AMG GT3 Evo.
All right, Jake Gortson, and what a debut in this season for you. Great qualifying position, but as the race started unfolding, you just find yourself up in the mix of the pro class and kind of left the AMs behind. Pretty good night for you. Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, really fun. I had no idea where I was because I still don't know the drivers' names and who's in what class. So I raced the pro guys as if they were in the AM class. I tried to stay with them, but those guys are ridiculous. No mistakes.
Yeah, they did well, but you hung with them for quite a while, and even up until the end there, not too far back from Jack and Jennifer out in front of you, but you put a lot of daylight between you and the rest of the AM category. You just got familiar now with this new Merc and just got it all set up?
I think this is just the perfect setup for me. I've got little time in the Merc and at Road Atlanta too, honestly, but everything just kind of clicked. I did a lot of practice, so that definitely helps. But I'm looking forward to this season. First season in GT3, and it's a great start.
Absolutely, yeah. Getting in there, getting that first victory always is the best way to start out. And putting on the pace and putting on the display you did tonight shows the rest of the field what they have to shoot for. So, Jake, awesome drive tonight for this victory. Anybody you want to give a thanks to?
I appreciate it. I'd like to thank Reverse Grid Racing. It's a team. Eventually, they'll be making my livery that we see. And yeah, that's about it. Oh, of course, Extreme Motorsports. It's an awesome league. I love coming back to this every time. So,
absolutely.
yeah,
Well,
thank you guys.
congratulations again, and congratulations to the Reverse Grid team. I'm sure they cannot wait to get a livery on there, seeing that it's in victory circle already. So, congrats,
yeah.
Jake, on this victory, and maybe many more as the season progresses.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, congratulations to Jake Gortson, finishing with the win tonight in GT3 AM. And so now, Larry, that leaves us just one person left to talk to, and that is Evan Peichel, driver of the number 23 Alpine Stars Geodesic Racing Porsche 911 GT3, tonight's winner from Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta.
Evan Peichel, the victory tonight. Boy, you worked your tail off for this one. Tell me a little bit about it from your side.
Well, in practice, I couldn't make it past like lap 10 without spinning. And so I was like, I'll just go into the race and try to save as much fuel as possible. And then I guess I just started getting into a groove with the car after the pit stop and got a little bit lucky that William tied, but yeah, other than that.
But your pace though was just spectacular. You spent the whole first stint really right behind Travis Schwenke, battling there for the third spot. Mike Dam, it seemed, had checked out in the front, and of course last year was just in a league of his own. But your pit stop was about 4 seconds faster than anybody's. Is it just, were you just saving fuel behind Travis that first stint, or what was that?
Well, that was a little bit of a magic trick. I was just saving fuel behind Travis.
Okay. Yeah, and it worked spectacularly because suddenly you went from in the battle with one of the Orion cars to in a different battle with Mike out in front of you. Did you think you were going to get by him? Because it looked like the Porsche maybe didn't have the same legs as the Merc down the back straights.
Well, I knew if he messed up, like going out of the corner, I might have a chance to get by him. But the speed difference between the Merc and the Porsche was so much that if I was going to commit to a move, I would have had to commit to it. I couldn't just like be half there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, you made that move stick. You got that little bit of a bobble with the TCR car in the traffic there, holding Mike up just a little bit. You got that pass by, but you and your car were so much quicker down the S's in particular that every lap you were either, if you were behind them, you were on his tail coming out, or once you got in front of them, it was clear a couple of car lengths each lap, and you just pulled away and pulled away. I think your fastest lap of the race was like lap 50 or something like that. Just kept going faster and faster. But as the laps came down, the clocks wound down, you're on the last lap, and you've got about 5 other cars that are lap traffic around you. What's going through your mind?
Oh, I was kind of freaking out. I was really hoping that they weren't going to slow me down enough for Mike to get back into draft. But then I was like, they're fighting for position, so I don't want to like ruin their battle. And it all just seemed to work out.
Yeah, a little bit of patience there on your part. Everybody kind of found their position, and you were able to get on by and to come home to see that checker flag. So congratulations on that, taking the checker here in the first race of this new season of World Challenge. Evan, who do you want to give a thanks to for tonight's victory?
Well, first I want to thank my grandma and parents for watching, and then Extreme Scoring for letting me do this series, and all the team sponsors, Alpine Stars, GoPro, ESI, Omologato, and Lab.
Well, congrats again. This is an awesome way to put a stamp on this first victory, the first race of the season. Maybe we'll get you a couple of more here as the season goes on, but the battle's going to be tough, and can't wait to have a chance to watch. Evan Peichel victorious here in round 1.
All right, there you go. Evan Peichel, driver of the number 23 Alpine Stars Geodesic Racing Porsche 911. Congratulations to him, taking the first win here in season number 5 of the Ricmotech World Challenge. And so, Larry, it was interesting as you were talking to Brandon Whitworth and the reasons for D2D E-Racing not sticking with the Honda Civic this year, and a lot of it just came down to raw speed. This may be the difference between driving the Honda Civics in the Ricmotech sports car series versus bumping them up to the World Challenge, because we have got one heck of a season at some very, very fast racetracks this season. So, of course, we started off at Road Atlanta, and Jonathan, I don't know if you have it up here, but we've got the graphic with the season schedule here. We started off here at Road Atlanta, but we're going to be at Fuji. We're going to be at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. We're heading to Indianapolis, home of the longest, I think, on that track, one of the longest straightaways. If you want to call, including that IndyCar Turn 1 as part of the straightaway there, but a lot of flat out running in Indianapolis. Perhaps the slowest circuit on the course, Hockenheim Ring, but we're going to be at Suzuka and rounding out the season at the National Park of Speed at Road America. And so, certainly with those TCR cars, the fastest car in a straight line you can get, I think, is going to be very helpful. But it is a season, and it is a schedule that is just tailor-made for GT3 cars. And if you have after watching tonight's racing have any inclination that you want to come out and race, we are still taking new entries. If you go to xmsracing.com, you can sign up, and you can be on the grid for round number 2 in just a few weeks at Fuji Speedway. So let's take a look at the upcoming schedules. Of course, we just let the cat out of the bag here as far as our next World Challenge race, and that is going to be August 29th. That is going to be September 18th. I'm sorry. Going to be in a few weeks, because we're going to be taking a little bit of time off for Labor Day here in the United States. But next week, August 29th, Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, we're going to be starting up the Classic Sprint Series once again. It is, I believe, season number 22 of the Classic Sprint Series, round 1 of 10. We're going to be at the National Park of Speed, Road America. Classic Sprint Series, that is our Mazda MX-5 only series. And then, as we mentioned, in a couple weeks, September 18th, we're going to have round 2 of the World Challenge at Fuji Speedway, 75 minutes at one of Japan's premier circuits. And then got a little bit of time to wait, but coming back in January of 2023 will be the aforementioned Sports Car Series, our GT4 cars and TCR series. So you definitely don't want to miss that. And so for everybody here at Apex Racing TV, for Larry Lefty McLeod, and for Jonathan Grabowski, I'm Greg Ginsburg, and we'll see you next Monday night from Road America.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.